Hi, my name is Mike Cole. I work for the Environment Agency as a Flood and Coastal Risk Management Advisor, and I'm here today to introduce you to the Lower Stour Flood Risk Management Strategy. The Lower Stour Flood Risk Management Strategy covers the area from immediately upstream of Wimborne in Dorset through to Christchurch Harbour. Down in Christchurch Harbour, it aligns with BCP Council's Flood and Coastal Risk Management Strategy. So effectively we have two strategies covering the whole of the area from Wimborne down through to the harbour to the sea. But since I've been working for the Environment Agency for the last 25 years, climate scientists have continually predicted that we would have warmer, wetter winters and hotter, drier summers. The new national flood risk assessment work we've done has highlighted that across the country we will have 6.3 million properties at risk, including businesses, and this includes from rivers, sea and the surface water. By 2050 this is predicted to go up to 8 million properties. So in England this will be 1 in 4 properties at risk of flooding. In the winter of 2023-24 we saw the wettest winter on record. This could be an indication that the climate change is already happening. This was the wettest winter since 1884. The results of this on the lower Dorset Stour were actually that we evacuated the park homes twice in this period. This was because the flood levels on the site were potentially going to become hazardous for even the emergency services to perform safe evacuation. So these are the sorts of issues that we'll be experiencing with ever more increased frequency. Why have we done this strategy? Well, we've done this strategy to look and understand what the flood risk will be over the next 100 years. We'll look to see what options and interventions may be required, and then we'll also look to communicate that with communities. So what does this strategy do and not do? So the strategy sets out the strategic direction and looks at what options are available for helping to manage and reduce flood risk and the impacts of flooding over the next 100 years. What the strategy doesn't do is commit the government to funding those future options. That level of detail will be required as and when those interventions are required. The strategy area is broken up into 7 different areas, starting upstream of Wimborne all the way down to Christchurch, but also includes the Crane and Moors catchments that feed into the north of Bournemouth. Each of these areas has identified different options and interventions that are most appropriate, but it also highlights when they're needed. Fortunately, in the 1980s and 90s, the Environment Agency built lots of flood defences throughout Wimborne and throughout the Bournemouth and Christchurch conurbation. These flood defences provide the level of protection that's currently required to keep the properties from flooding. These have worked successfully over the last 30-40 years, and the strategy will also look to see what we need to do and when we need to improve them. The strategy also looks at areas where there aren't any current flood defences and where properties may be at risk at the moment. What the strategy does is it looks for these areas and looks to see whether they may be appropriate for either property level protection measures, building new flood defences, or even in the most extreme and most high risk areas, about the potential for whether they can be relocated or change the land use. So these are some of the things that the long-term strategy is considering. What it's also identified in the strategy is that in 2 areas there may be the potential for building new flood defences. These 2 locations are focused around the Ensbury area of North Bournemouth and also the West Moors area. So what the strategy identifies is in the next few years we need to further refine that information within it to see if there is actually a possibility of building flood defences for those 2 communities. I hope you have find some time to look through the supporting information on this engagement page. If you want to provide any feedback, please contact the email address at the bottom of this page. I hope you find the information interesting. Thank you. Goodbye.